We have already discussed how the 6 learning outcomes for this class are part of the College of Education and Professional Studies conceptual framework. Each module covers one of these areas. You will begin each module by working through the conceptual framework with a strategic close read. This just means that you will read the outcomes carefully and note important words and ideas that you will look for examples of during the readings and videos in each module. You will also notice that each of the outcomes are set up in a similar way. They all have 3 parts. The explanation statement is the broad statement. The knowledge and skills breaks the explanation statement down into sections. And then the third part is the critical dispositions, which are your behaviors and attitudes that are related to the explanation statement and knowledge and skills. So let's look at leadership and collaboration. Here is the explanation statement for leadership and collaboration. An effective educator seeks appropriate leadership roles and other opportunities to take responsibility for student learning, to collaborate with learners, families, colleagues, and community members to ensure learner growth and to advance the profession. So with each explanation statement, you will read through it carefully and note any words or ideas that you think are important. And then you will look for these throughout the module and examples of how the teachers are showing these ideas. Here are the important words that I found. I thought that it would be important to note when we see teachers taking leadership roles. And how do they take responsibility for student learning? And collaborating. Who do they collaborate with? And how? How do they ensure learner growth and advance the profession? Part 2 is your knowledge and skills elements, and it breaks down into more detail what you have just read in the explanation statement. So the first one says, an educator collaborates with other professionals in an effort to build a shared vision and supportive culture that facilitates student learning. Number 2, an educator takes an active role on instructional teams through which he or she gives and receives constructive feedback on practice, learner performance, assessment data, and decision-making and accountability for student learning. Number 3, an educator uses technology tools to support a variety of communication strategies to build local and global learning communities that engage learners, families, and colleagues. Number 4, an educator works collaboratively to advocate for, and to advance professional practice through contributions to the knowledge and skill of others, modeling effective practice for colleagues, and leading professional learning activities. An educator works with others to use and or generate meaningful research on educational issues and topics. So as you look through the knowledge and skills elements, go back also and note important ideas and words. And these are the ones that I found that related right back to our explanation statement. So the first one, we see the educators collaborate. And in this one, they're collaborating with the professionals, with other professionals. And number 2, we see that they're taking an active role on instructional teams. And they are also advocating for and using feedback for helping to ensure learner performance and take accountability for student learning. And number 3, we see that they are engaging the learners and the families and the colleagues through a variety of communication strategies. And number 4, we see they're collaborating again, and they are working toward advancing the profession by modeling how to be a good teacher for their colleagues and for leading professional learning activities, which that also is a leadership quality. And the last one, an educator works with others, which is also collaborating, and they are working on research on educational issues and policies, which is advancing the profession. The critical dispositions are part 3. Remember, critical dispositions are your behaviors and your attitudes. So the first one says the educator respects families, beliefs, norms, and expectations and seeks to work collaboratively with learners and families in setting and meeting challenging goals. And number 2 says an educator takes initiative to grow and develop with colleagues through continuous improvement and necessary change in order to enhance practice and support student learning. So here are some important ideas or words that I found. Collaborating with learners and families, again, but also not just that. We are also talking about the attitude of respect, respecting our families' beliefs, norms, and expectations. And then the next one, enhance practice and support student learning. They are doing this. How are they supporting student learning? Through continuously improving, through taking initiative to grow and develop as a teacher along with their colleagues by trying to continuously improve so that they can make changes in order to enhance their practice and to support their student learning in a more effective way. So, each module will have at least one question for you to consider as you work through it. So be sure that you take notes as you move through the module so that you can answer your question. So your question for Module 1 is, how are teachers expected to lead and collaborate in order to advance student learning? Write this question down on your notebook paper. And as you work through the module, just jot some notes down on what you see that can help you answer the question of how teachers lead and how they collaborate and how they advance student learning through that.